Hey everyone, my name is Tommy Reynolds and today I'm going to be showing you my favourite skin retouching tool, which is called frequency separation. So what basically frequency separation is the process of separating the texture of the skin with the colour and everything else on the skin. Because what you don't want to do is you don't want to blur the texture of the skin, because then it looks like you've used a filter. And obviously this is what I used to do years ago when I first started out, which I'm sure a lot of people did when they first started out. They would blur maybe a bit too much. I mean, it drives me nuts when I see over photoshopped images which clearly look like they've been photoshopped, and I'm sure as a photographer, if you're watching this, you've seen those. And even if you're not a photographer, and even if you're not a photographer, and you may have even noticed that, and that's pretty bad if you're not a photographer and you notice when something's been photoshopped. So the way I like to edit my photos is very minimal. I pretty much only do three things when I edit skin. The first is using the spot removal tool, frequency separation, and the burn and dodge tool. We'll cover the burn and dodge tool in another tutorial, but today we're going to be looking how I do frequency separation. So without further ado, we'll jump straight in. So the first step in order to separate the texture from the color is to, well, first of all, I want to show you, this is what it will look like if you just simply if you just simply blur this part of the skin, for example. So if I did that and go to blur, Gaussian blur, and then just increased it there. So you can see if I hit OK. Now you can just see that you might not notice it that much from a distance, but on further inspection you can see that a blur tool has been used, and it doesn't look great, because if it looks noticeable, then you've gone too far. So it's less is more, certainly, with this sort of thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate our layer by going, we can go right click, duplicate layer, or you can do Command J. We're going to do that twice. So once you've got your three layers, first of all you want to go to filter, blur, Gaussian blur. I know we've just done this, but it'll all make sense, I promise. And we want to give it a level of blur. We don't want to obviously go too far where we lose complete detail like we've got here. So we want to go as a blur to as far as much where we can lose some of the blotchiness here. So if we zoom in, so this is Sarah, my good friend Sarah. She's already got pretty good skin, to be fair. But what we're going to do with frequency separation, it's going to clean up. So we've got some blotchiness here. We've got a bit of red here, a bit of highlight here, a tiny bit of highlight here. Frequency separation is going to treat that. It's going to almost separate that and just kind of smooth it out without affecting the detail. So if we come back, so we go back to Gaussian blur and just add enough where it kind of gets rid of what we need. So I'll say about there. This will vary depending on your image. You'll find that the closer the face is to the more the face takes up the frame, the more Gaussian blur you're going to be adding. So this is kind of a mid shot, so Sarah wasn't really close, so I'm going to leave it at about 9 pixels. I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to change this layer to our color layer, and then change this to our texture layer. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring the texture layer up there, and now we're going to, so now I've brought that texture layer up. Looks like nothing has changed because I've not done anything with this. So if I hide that, then we see the Gaussian blur underneath it. So what we're going to do is we're going to now we're going to extract just the texture from this layer, only the texture and nothing else. So if we go to filter, we go to image, apply image, and we go to our layer, which is our color, and we're going to subtract the color out of this layer. So that's what it's doing. So it's subtracting the color and leaving only the texture in, which you can see here. Make sure your blending mode is set to subtract, where you see that. And if anyone is au fait with Photoshop, you might think that this looks like a high pass filter which is used to sharpen the image, and you're right, it does very much look like a a high pass filter. So when it's on subtract, make sure the opacity is at 100, the scale is 2, and the offset is at 128. That will be the same regardless what your image is, always these values, and then hit OK. Now we go to change our blending mode from normal to linear light. Now we've changed it to that, it looks like our image has gone back to normal and nothing has changed. That's, in theory it has, but now we have this image across 2 layers, if that makes sense. So if I ignore this one at the bottom, we have a texture layer and we have the color layer. So if I get rid of the texture, we've got just that, and if I get rid of just the color layer, we've got just the texture. So now they're separated. Now I can begin editing just the color, and the texture will not be affected, if that makes sense. Because before, back in the old day, where we'd add a blur on everything, you're blurring the color and the texture, and we don't want to touch the texture, so we want to blur the color and kind of smooth out the skin blotchiness. So let's do that. So if we go to the color, make sure the color is selected and zoom in. And what we're going to do is we're going to take our lasso tool, and I'm just going to highlight around here to start off with. If you press Q on your keyboard, you'll see the feathering option. So if you come up here, if it's on 0, I've got mine set to this at the moment. I could even set it up a little bit higher if I wanted to, so it's a little bit more. So otherwise you'll get a clear defining circle of what you're changing. We don't want that, we want it to be smooth. So hit Q again to come out of that. So I'm happy with that, and this is my selected area. I'm going to go to filter, go back to Gaussian blur, and then if we zoom in and then start increasing this, we're going to see, I don't know if you can see it on there, but we're going from there to there, from there to there, and this is just getting rid of that bit of red blotchiness and a bit of shaded area there. Just kind of, it's not getting rid of it, but we're smoothing it out, which is a big difference. So if we kind of have it around that mark and then hit OK, and then Control D to unselect that. And now if I'm going to put these 2 layers into a folder, into a group, so that when I take it off, I'm going to be able to see the effects of what it looks like on and off. So you can see there, that's what it looks like on and off. This is so subtle, and if you use it on another example, so this, I've probably got a better example, to be fair, because Sarah actually already has pretty good skin, but I'll keep going and we can see the effects at the end. So go back to the color and highlight the chin here where it's a little bit highlighty. Then I can go back to Gaussian blur after the highlight and then adjust it there some. And we don't want to go again too far with it though, otherwise it would just smooth it out so that it's a bit flat in terms of the contrast. There's no, if I go up there, oops, it's just a bit flat. So if I bring it down, just so I want to just tone down that highlight, just smooth out that highlight. And then I'll do the same on the forehead here, kind of go around here, just kind of do the big area here. Again, back to Gaussian blur, and then fine tune it again, about there. Okay, and then just do maybe around here, Gaussian blur, that's it. And if we take a step back, we'll just see it before and after. Now it's so subtle, but it works really, really well. You can see it, you can notice it more on the cheek than anything else. By the way, if you couldn't keep up, or you're not that good with Photoshop of setting up setting up frequency separation, because sometimes it can be a bit tedious having to do all those settings at the start of every image. I've got an action that I will leave in the description box below, so you don't need to worry about setting it up. So for example, if you go to your actions tab, and when you do double click, it will automatically install to your Photoshop, and then all you need to do is just follow the prompts that's been made. So for example, here is frequency separation, and rather doing what I just did, I'm going to save time and use my action and hit play. Now it's going to ask me how much blur I want. So I'm going to, about there, and then hit OK. And it's done for me. So if I hit continue and then open up frequency separation, I now have my my texture layer and my color layer here. So I'm going to go to the color layer, zoom in, do the exactly the same as I did before, and I'm going to begin highlighting what I want to smooth out, that kind of area. Hit Q on the keyboard just to check that it's a bit feathered, which it is, which is good. Go to the filter and go to blur, Gaussian blur, and start affecting that. Start turning that up, and I'm going to just go around very quickly just to show you the effects it's doing. And let's just do, I'm just going to do big areas for now, just so I can get through this a bit quicker, so to give you guys an idea. So if you look very closely at this image, the texture has not been affected, but everything else has. So if I turn that on and off, you can see the effect there. It's so subtle. I'm not losing contrast. I've still got contrast here in the contour, and I can enforce that when I add burn and dodge, which I'll do in the next tutorial after this. You can just see the subtle effect it has. I'll even do on the chin here real quick. When you do this properly, just kind of fine tune it and only work with the selected areas. Again, with this example, Sarah has pretty good skin anyway, to be fair. So you will notice this even more if you're working with someone who doesn't have maybe quite as good skin as Sarah in our example here. If we zoom out again, and we just see those before and after. Now I have done it maybe a little bit too much, and maybe we're losing a little bit of cheekbone here, but this is just something really subtle. And with the action, again, like I was saying in my workflow, my Lightroom workflow, is that I like to spend as little time in Photoshop in Lightroom as I can, because the more time I'm on Photoshop is less time I'm out photographing and earning money. So I need things that are going to make my workflow a lot quicker. And as I say, the spot healing tool, the frequency separation, and the burn and dodge are the three things I pretty much only do in Photoshop. So this image has already been treated in Lightroom, and then it then comes over from Lightroom to Photoshop, and then gets these three different treatments to it, if need be. Occasionally I will use the liquify tool, but in terms of just skin retouching, these are the only three things I do: spot healing tool, frequency separation, and burn and dodge. And that's basically it. That's give you an idea of frequency separation. It's the important thing is you're able to smooth out those imperfections or the color blotches without affecting the texture, and keeping it look making it look as real as possible without just slapping a blur filter and it clearly looking like a blur filter on it. But that's about it from me. If you like this video, make sure you hit that like and share button, or subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube. And as I said, and sorry to plug it again, but if you are watching this before the 24th of March 2016, then I will be hosting my first photo exhibition of my images that I've taken with a charity called Take Heart Mercy Mission in Sri Lanka. If you want to come along to that, I will leave all the details in the description box below. And it will be great for you to come along. It's absolutely free. It's based in Chatham between 6 till 8. That's about it. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time. Bye bye.